Want me to change? Ready?
Yeah. Okay, so most people know Blue Cross for providing healthcare insurance, but what a lot of people don't realize is we have one of the largest IT shops in South Carolina, where we typically have between 1,500 and 2,000 people just in the IS department. So the way that we're structured is like, Mark Anthony and I'll let him introduce himself in just a minute, work in the IS division, and that's where like everyone in IS does something technical aside from my team where we, talk the talk, but don't walk the walk. So like we recruit the technical people, but we don't actually do the technical stuff. But yeah, we typically have about 2,000 people, and then there's, other areas that focus on like the claims processing and, all the enrollment and all that kind of stuff. So we just focus on the technology. And part of the reason that we have such a large IT shop is because we outsource our services to other Blue Cross plans. So we're a huge mainframe shop. Because mainframes are just faster and more secure than PCs. They can hold more data, they can process them so much faster. It's harder to hack into them, like you have to physically be in the mainframe data center. So it's just more secure because, we're dealing with millions of people's healthcare data. So we want to keep it secure. And so we outsource our services, as I said, to other Blue Cross plans. So sometimes like with Publix, if anybody has worked at Publix, like they're headquartered in Florida and their health insurance is through Blue Cross of Florida, but Blue Cross of Florida outsources all of the claims processing to us. So it's stuff like that where it gets really confusing and complicated, but that's why we're so large, is because we work with a lot more than just our members' data. So I do all the college recruiting for the IT department. And I recruit for two programs specifically that I'm going to talk about. The one that y'all are most interested in is the summer internship. And then I also have something that you would apply for your senior year called the ELTP, and it's entry-level training program. And I'll go into detail about that. But I'll stop here and let Mark Anthony introduce himself, and then we'll go through the slides and he can just kind of chime in.
Yeah, so hello everybody, I'm Mark Anthony, graduated from here, so University of South Carolina, winter 23, so being where you were at, you ago now?
Yep.
Literally.
In this class, he sat here, got the job. Yep.
Signed up for the internship program and then right out of graduation, went into the DLT, and then
So, and I'll have him speak a little bit about what he did during his internship in the LTP once we're on this slide. Okay. Okay, so internship. All of y'all are IIT majors, so you would all qualify. For our internships, it's not freshmen, it's like sophomore above, which I think all of y'all are. You have to have at least 12 semester hours in major specific courses. So the only issue, if any of you recently switched majors, I would just need, when you apply, you'll submit a copy of your transcript. So I would just look to make sure that you have the 12 semester hours, but I can consider like computer science, math classes, all that kind of stuff. So most of you should need to qualify. It's a 12-week program, and this year it's going from May 12th through August 1st. So it doesn't interfere with classes or anything. It is hybrid with weekly on-site required in Columbia. So this is something, once you've applied, which I'll talk about the process, but once you've applied, you'll get a questionnaire from me asking like what you want to do, what you've done related to that. Also, how often you can be on site. So I know, all of y'all are here now, but some of you might go, home out of Columbia for the summer, live with your parents for free, which is fine. But some of our areas, it might just be like 1 day a week on site. Some could be 5 days a week. So it really just depends. So, whatever you put on the questionnaire, I make sure, like if you say you're only available 1 day a week, I'm not going to, talk with you about an area that's 5 days a week on site. So it really just varies. So, and with the on site too, it's not only the manager having you on site. We also have a lot of networking events and presentations and stuff for the interns. and those are all on site with the except, well, we do have a couple, virtual, but the feedback that we get from the interns every summer is that they really like the on-site events a lot more, just because you network with each other. Also on the corporate side, that's more like business, accounting, finance majors, for their internships. We have events with them. We do like a bowling. Sometimes we do Fireflies games, different stuff like that. So that's on site as well.
It's social and philanthropy. So, because
Yeah.
they also, it's
Yeah,
also,
we do a volunteer, we do at least one volunteer, project, whatever, like either Salvation Army or Harvest Hope or something every year. And then so the pay is $20 an hour. You work 40 hours a week. And we don't pay for housing though, but I am reaching out to USC about their dorm housing. I don't know if it's gonna work with our timeframes. But what a lot of people do, for those of you who might not, be in Columbia over the summer, is I've had a lot of interns who join Facebook groups that they find where it's, USC students who sublease like their apartments over the summer, that kind of thing. So, there are definitely opportunities. So interns gain meaningful technical experience, and we have interns. So for this summer, I've got 38 interns. For the past couple, I've had closer to 50, so the numbers are a little bit less this year. But you'll be assigned a specific area to work in over the summer. So some focus on programming, some do more like hardware, infrastructure, tech support, application support, some security, but typically our cyber team doesn't hire interns because they typically look for people who have, years of experience doing cybersecurity. I will say a lot of students I talk to want cyber. So if you're interested in cyber, it is very competitive and there are very few entry-level jobs. So my advice is always expand what you want to do outside of just cyber. Like I typically have interns who do different aspects of security, like risk and compliance, or they do security for like our infrastructure versus the whole thing. So when you're talking to companies and applying for jobs, don't just focus on cyber. Be a little bit more well-rounded and, security, or you consider like hardware, infrastructure, network, that Unix, that kind of thing. And then we also have project management, process improvement, but they're all going to be, technical, internships. Okay, so I mentioned the volunteer network opportunities. And then with all of our jobs prior to starting, you have to successfully complete our pre-employment screening, which include background checks and drug screening. So keep in mind that a lot of companies drug screen, and if you say you were in Colorado and pot was legal there, we don't care because we work on government contracts. So it's a federal mandate where, we have to do these drug tests. And if marijuana or something shows up, we can't hire you regardless of the situation. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so I'll let Mark Anthony talk a little bit about his internship and what he did as an intern.
Yeah, so, I went in the networking team, my internship, last year, I think it was over, maybe cyber.
raise your hands if you like cyber. All right.
So, yeah, I was kind of like you, wanted to do cyber, really wanted to get in there, for networking, and to add on to, what you talked about earlier, yeah, if you want to go into cyber, definitely broaden your horizon, get some extra skills in there. They love to see that, and like I said, it's really competitive.
Who did you work for?
I work for AMD.
Oh, okay.
Work for the networking team. That was really nice. We got a sweet bunch of behind the network, run the data reports, all our inventory. And we got to go with the facility team for a couple of weeks and see physically all of the network equipment, where it was, run some fiber, the data centers, set up to our massive number of claims every year to do that. As the internship as well. And really get to get my hands dirty, both physically and behind the PC. So really good opportunity. Yeah, internship, and again, those philanthropy events, networking events, When you're an intern, you're all kind of in the same class, if you're in different areas. There are great network opportunities. Some people from my internship ended up joining the LTC with me, and I kept those connections throughout LTC and with the company, but now I have to work in different areas. I think especially good networking opportunities there. Well, and again, the presentation, presentation skills, and just getting a feel for the
Yeah, that is one thing I forgot to mention. At the end of the internship, all the interns give a presentation. Where the other interns who are presenting and me and someone else in training are in the room, but if we do it in teams, so like your manager and your team can view it. Which I know, you know, a lot of people are really nervous about presenting, but you know, to his point, and you know, doing what Caitlin did, it's great to get that experience. Because you're gonna probably have to do it some when you start working.
So can I piggyback on
sure.
what he was saying? So, during the 495, I actually have each student do a reflection of what they thought of the internship, of that report. And so I don't know what he actually wrote, but I'm just saying, some of the things that they say is, wow, it's rough to work for a 9 to 5 job, or the culture of dressing up every day, or doing this and doing that. So can you sort of expand on your reflection report that you said, wow, I didn't realize all of this are sitting on my butt for so long, or.
Oh, it's been 2 years. Watching out. That's exactly what I wrote. General friendship internship. It was nice. I didn't expect. I thought to go on site every day. It was either by area. 1 week on, 1 week off. I had some on days before we get time off. But it was an adjustment. That 9 to 5. It's, you know, you're in school now. Your schedule may not seem like it, but it's very flexible. You have a lot more time. When you're working at 9 to 5, maybe a little bit of change, but if you stay productive, stay busy, you're actually, you know, looking up the knowledge of your team where you want to be at, learning from not only just the manager there, that's the probably talk about. A lot of employees who've gone through the internship, who've gone through the LTC, and kind of know what you're going through, and they're there as resources to network with, talk to, ask questions. Very personal.
Yeah, that's feedback we get every year from our interns, is just how friendly and welcoming everyone is. We kind of do a prep when you first start about just what to expect, some, you know, best practices as far as internship, and we have a lot of acronyms. And so you're not, and you know, they don't expect you, they know you're a current college student. They don't expect you to come in, hit the ground running and to know everything. So a lot of times you might, you know, the first couple of weeks is more of a learning, job shadowing, figuring things out. And then as you get further along, then you'll start doing more, you know, real work and that type of thing. So with what my process is for the internship, I'm posting the positions probably today or tomorrow. So I have handouts here that y'all can get one, and there's a QR code where you can fill out this form. I've already done the mail merge and done that, but it's for y'all, if you fill out this form, which is just pretty much, you know, your name and email address is really what I need, then I will send you the link. But you need to do it this week, fill out the form this week. And then I'll send you the link, or you can go to, if you look up Blue Cross of South Carolina careers page, and you look up IT internship, that'll be my internship. Because the corporate side has different, it has more generic internship. But mine will say IT student intern. So then when you'll apply in our system, which I know it's frustrating, but you fill out in an online application with just your name, email address, basics about education experience, then you're also uploading your resume. We do ask that you either upload an unofficial copy of your transcript, including your classes for this semester, or you can do it, if you don't have it now and you want to go ahead and apply, you'll get an email from me asking for it. So just keep in mind, a lot of companies do want a copy of your transcript. And it needs to, and USC's, I typically don't have issues with y'all getting, I guess, I don't know where you get it from, but usually, I need to see the class name, the number of credits, and your grade and your GPA and all that. And then after you've applied, within a couple weeks, you'll get an email from me with a link to a questionnaire where I'm asking you what you want to focus on, like your top 3 or 4 preferences for the summer. If it's, network, security, programming, project management, database administration, that type of thing. And then I'm also going to ask you what you've done related to that, both classes and projects and outside of that. So, as Tony mentioned earlier, like all of y'all IIT majors, you pretty much take the same classes, you pretty much work on the same projects. So you need to think in terms of like, you're each other's competition when you're applying for jobs. So what have you done in addition to that? Like, with programming, I always recommend, have like your GitHub, have a GitHub page, put it on your resume, have examples of stuff you've done on your own, like, spend a weekend like designing a website or creating an app or participate in a hackathon or do stuff like that. On the network side, it's a little bit harder. But if you can, help set up a network at your church or your parents' company or, something like that, just anything above and beyond. Just because my managers really like that because it shows that you're passionate about whatever it is you want to do. Like you're not just in class and, like checking the boxes, like you're doing this in your free time. So you definitely want to stress that on your resume, in your interview, and on my questionnaire, because I use the questionnaire to determine if you get an interview. So on the questionnaire, if I've got 50 IIT majors who all want network and security, I can't interview 50 of you. So I'm going to look at, all the other stuff that you say to determine who I interview. And then also in the questionnaire, it'll, ask how many days a week you can be on site, that type of thing. And then, based on that, within a couple of weeks, I'll, let you know if you have been selected to interview, and that'll be a virtual interview with me, in Teams where I've got, some questions. And I can't remember if on the slide, if I don't talk, like when you're interviewing for companies, you definitely want to, Google like behavioral interview questions and emotional intelligence interview questions. Like my interview for intern and ELTP, they're not technical interviews. So you're not having to like write code on a whiteboard or anything like that. It's more assessing your soft skills. So and the more you practice interviewing, the better you're going to be at it. So your career services is awesome where you can like schedule a meeting to do a mock interview with them. And even though it feels dorky, do that and tell them you want to practice some behavioral interviewing. So then that way, when you're doing it for real with a company, you'll, maybe get some good feedback from them, know kind of, what to say in your response. And then also when you're interviewing, definitely dress professionally, even if it's virtual. Managers really like it, like when, people are professional and take notes and are engaged. Okay, and then, yeah, any questions about the internship right now? Yes.
Mention training. Yep, so at the start of the program, you said it's mostly going to be shadowing, so they'll, I assume, explain the intricacies as to what they fully expect, and should also they expect from us and before we're 17.
Yes, and you'll be assigned a mentor from the area. So, you'll kind of like have a hand holding for at first, and then like once they've determined, that you are able to do stuff on your own, then you'll start. And some of our areas hire multiple interns, so it could be where you'll be working with, other interns on projects. It could be where you're the only intern for the area, so you'll just be working with your mentor and that team and your manager. Okay, so ELTP is a training program that we have that starts in late May of every year. So for y'all, if you have to do your internship over the summer, so technically you don't graduate until August, but you walk in May, I don't care that you walk in May. Like you can't be hired for ELTP unless you have your diploma, and like our background check company verifies that you have it. So if you are an August grad, you would not be able to, like, if you graduate August of 25, August of 25, you couldn't be hired for the May of 25 ELTP. You would need to wait until the May of 26 ELTP. So make sure your resume, if you are an August grad, says August. Like, definitely put the month and year on your resume, because like that's what I care about, because that determines for me if you qualify for internship versus ELTP. So also, like for me, if your resume says May of 25 that you graduate, I'm not going to consider you for internship because you're not currently enrolled. So you need to say August. Okay, so ELTP is a paid classroom training where I typically start recruiting for ELTP in the fall of every year. So like for the 2025 class, the positions are all already filled. You will get hired as a permanent full-time employee of the company, but you go through a paid 5-month classroom training to focus on either programming, application support, network/security, or project management, depending on what you're interested in. The pay is $67,000 plus benefits. And some of the courses have different certifications, like for the one that Mark Anthony went through, the system support and infrastructure. Did you do?
We had, server plus, network plus, went back for security plus.
And then like this year, they're not doing Network Plus. I think it varies from year to year, but it's always like CompTIA certifications with the project management track. It's a PMI, Project Management Institute certification. So there are different certifications. With the programming track, it's just learning like what, the technologies we use. But most of the positions I get with ELTP every year are mainframe programming. So if any of y'all are at all interested in programming, I would definitely like explore that, try to take programming classes.
And we do have an elective course that we teach.
Yes.
So we have that if
Berkshire
you
still
want.
teach it?
Well, he's getting ready to retire,
Okay.
so I think Curtis or someone.
Okay. But one thing too, so on the network side, even though like network and security, now we are seeing a lot more programming involved with that, like specifically scripting, that type of thing. So I would, you need to have experience with either like Python, JavaScript, something like that on your resume. Do you do any scripting and?
Yeah, so, PowerShell, can be lots of in right now. We do a lot of, my team isn't script heavy, but that is definitely that we felt even in ELTP, we're doing a lot more, hands-on with, that. Really interesting, but, monitoring for any people doing security, definitely, that's a good tool, they're always. Do like, yeah.
And there's a new one out that our professors use called P4. And P4 is what they're doing with the most current stuff.
Or great, I had the opportunity, get in on it.
Yeah.
If you can talk to definitely get in there. They have that would be network business, so flyer, but find things like that, yeah.
Okay, so with ELTP, you do have it like homework, graded class assignments, a midterm and a final exam, and you do have to maintain a certain GPA in the program in order to graduate. And then once you've graduated, you move into the area that hired you. So, and it is hybrid where the training is typically going to be primarily on site in Columbia and the positions are in Columbia. So if you don't want to stay in Columbia, I wouldn't apply. It's possible that you could relocate or work 100% remote after a couple of years, but definitely the first several years are going to be on site in Columbia. And all of our offices are on the northeast side of Columbia. So kind of Spring Valley area. But, you know, all of IS is hybrid, where some of the teams are on site 3 days a week. Like my team's only on site 1 day a week. It seems like a lot of like the college students and recent grads prefer more on site. I think because like y'all had to do so much virtual during COVID that a lot of people don't like it and want to be on site. So, you know, there's definitely that opportunity where if you want to be on site more, you can be. But there are minimums, you know, based on the area that you're in. And then,
Benefits.
yes, so benefits, you know, obviously you get, you know, health, dental, vision insurance, you accrue, paid time off that equates to now, oh my gosh, I'm drawing 20 days. Yeah, we just upped it. So now you accrue each month. So that's something too, during the internship, you'll accrue some paid time off. It's 26.66 hours that you will accrue during the internship. And I just emailed HR, that's why I know that. And if you don't use it during the internship, you'll be paid out for it at the end of the internship. And one thing I didn't mention with the internship too, is that some of our interns get extended to work during the school year part-time. So during the summer, it's a full-time internship. But if you're interested in continuing to work part-time while you're in school, you know, in the fall semester or spring semester, you know, you can talk to your manager, and if they have to work in the budget, that's definitely a possibility. And with ELTP, if you are an August or December grad, the training doesn't start until May, but we often hire people early, like in, you know, January timeframe. Sometimes, you know, if you're an intern, you might get extended and that type of thing. So there is a possibility, you know, to work before ELTP starts in May. Did you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And then, let's see, you've got free on-site gyms, different wellness incentives, discount on your health insurance, free flu shots and health screenings, education assistance. So it's not tuition reimbursement. It's like going forward. So if you decide you want to get your master's, we reimburse 75% of tuition and books up to $5,000 a year for courses leading to a degree. And yeah, so do you want to talk a little bit about your ELTP?
Yeah, so, just getting out of, good, here. So that was great experience for me. Like I said, we'll talk to all of the schools that we go out, like pickleballers.
We typically have like 40 to 50 ELTP students with all of the tracks.
So a lot of us, but it was a great time. We had, you know, the intern final and all certification, depending on what track you're in. It was really good to get in there. You kind of get acquainted with the full perspective of professionally, and also I don't know, there's a little bit of time where you'll get to go to your team sometime in your training and actually kind of get a little more time continue to working with your team while the training. You still have a mentor as well while you're in ELTP. That's your lifeline back to your team. Ask questions, get question answered, mentor is there. But overall, really good. Hackathon at the end of that. Big collaborative effort from everybody in the class to use all the skills you learned, and you got to build some something like that. It's really useful to have special assistance from other areas that are public that and get it done. But yeah, I don't regret it.
And our ultimate goal, like we pay a lot for the training and the certification, everything for ELTP students. So our ultimate goal is for them to want to stay with us long-term. So we monitor ELTP graduates for 5 years to ensure fair compensation and career growth. Because we want to make sure, you know, that your career and your salary are progressing like they should. And if the organizational health area sees any issues, they'll reach out to management to figure out like what the issues are. We've had people who like the team they were on just wasn't a good fit, and so they were able to move them to another team, and then they, you know, did much better and that type of thing. So ELTP I will post in the fall. So if you graduate on or before May of 26, then what I would recommend doing is come see me at, well, okay, I'll be tabling at Swearingen on Thursday, January 30th. And I'll have flyers for where you can just fill out this same questionnaire, but for the 26 ELTP class. So if you're interested, I would go ahead and do it just so then you'll get an email from me letting you know when the positions are posted. I'm always at the STEM fairs too. So, you know, if you want to come at the STEM fair that he said, February 26th, and then I'll also be at the one, you know, in the fall. But if you fill out that form, then you'll get an email from me when they're posted in the fall.
Moving forward,
Any questions so far?
we got less than
Yes.
10 minutes.
Okay.
Go
What
ahead.
is the job role looking like after this?
The job growth?
Yeah, so what is the
Sure. So we have like designated career paths for different job titles. So like with his area, he probably went from ELTP student to like network technician.
No, I actually, switched from network over in internet services. Where you can, where, get server,
What's your job title?
get server.
Okay, so like we have job families that have specific job titles, and there's typically 2 years of work experience is required to move up to the next job title. So some people will stay in their job family and just like in 2 years, then, you know, if they meet the qualifications and if they're doing the work at that level, their manager will promote them to that. Some people want to try something different. So that like all of our positions are posted internally. So, you know, if you start off doing server administration, but you realize you want to do more security, you can apply for security positions that are posted internally. You just have to meet the minimum qualifications. So that's why we have annual performance reviews with all employees where once a year you sit down one-on-one with your manager to talk about your career and what you want to do. So we, you know, recommend that employees advocate for themselves. And if you realize, you know, you're really passionate about security, talk to your manager to figure out how you can get there. Like, are there projects you can work on? Are there certain teams you could shadow, you know, that type of thing. So, you know, your manager should help you figure out how to move your career in that direction. We also have, so ELTP isn't the only program we have. Like, we have a whole training department just in the technology division that has like for people who want to move into like technical leadership, people who want to move into management, people who are managers and want to move into directors. There's a lot of different programs you can participate in. And that stuff, you know, you can talk with your management about too. But during the annual performance review, everyone's eligible for an annual salary increase based on your review score. But we also do off-cycle salary increases and bonuses.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so southcarolinablues.com is our website. You can go to the next one.
5 minutes.
Okay, so resume, make sure you have your name, email address. Like, you would be amazed at how many resumes I get that don't have an email address. So make sure you have that, because that's how I personally communicate with, like, I don't usually call because y'all don't answer your phones. A lot don't have, you know, voicemail set up, so I email. So check your email frequently. When you are applying for jobs, check your email and check your spam folders. With education, include your college, major, minor, and your anticipated graduation month and year. Include a skills section that has all the technologies you've either used in school or learned on your own. Because again, they're not going to expect you to come in and know, like, be proficient in it and, you know, an expert. So it's just showing that, you know, you're familiar with it.
And make sure your email is a professional email or your student email, like not studmuffin@gmail.
It's linked to your name. You know, Outlook like auto-populates stuff. So like, you know, Caitlin, it would be great if it were like Caitlin or her or Kay last name or something like that. But if it's like, you know, I mean, it gets crazy, but you know, just something random, then it's harder for me to know that that's you. And then I have to go into our database and look at your email, you know, like all that kind of stuff. So make it easy for recruiters. Also, one thing that I love is if you save your resume or your, as your name, like, so then I don't have to retype it. So like if you're emailing a recruiter, your resume or transcript, I would put like Angie Greenwood transcript, Angie Greenwood resume. So that makes me easier. Also, one thing I want to say with internships, regardless of where you work, if it's Blue Cross or another company, keep in mind that it's pretty much like a summer-long interview where they're assessing you to determine if they want to hire you after graduation. And keep in mind that if you don't have a great internship, you don't really like the company, you never know who's looking at you and where those people might go. So like, if Google is your dream company and you're interning at Blue Cross, the person who, you know, you might interact with someone who later is a hiring manager at Google. So just always be professional. Like, I've had interns not get hired for ELTP because they got caught sleeping at their desk. They got caught like, you know, loudly, like using profanity and stuff. So just be professional and keep in mind that you never know who's what. Like, I've had people be disrespectful in a training class and the trainer told me and we didn't hire them, you know? So just keep in mind, everyone is looking and communicating. So always be professional. Okay. Research a company before you interview. Know what the job is you're applying to. Like, a couple years ago, everyone I talked to wanted to go into video game design. Well, I mean, we're an insurance company. We don't design video games. So good luck, you know, like, so make sure your answers and your resume is somewhat geared towards that company. Also ask your parents if they have friends who work for the company, like look on LinkedIn to see if you have an in, because can't hurt. Again, practice interviewing as much as possible. Take notes during the interview, dress up if you can. You know, just again, be polished and professional. Okay, as I said, check your email often. Use LinkedIn. Like, also, these are great for y'all. Like, keep a list of the companies and who you might be interested in either interning with or working for after graduation, because I don't always post my positions on Handshake. Like with ELTP last year, I got so much response just from the questionnaire that I sent that I didn't post it on Handshake. So like, you had to either fill out my survey or go to my company's careers page to look for it. So keep that in mind. Like, if there are companies that you're targeting, go to their website. Don't expect them to necessarily put things on Handshake or LinkedIn or wherever. Okay, any questions? I know this is a lot.
Yep.
Okay, and again, I'll be at Swearingen on January 30th from 10 to 3. So if you wanna, if you're there and wanna, you know, come by, ask questions, I'll also be at this. But the STEM fair tends to get really crowded, so it would be better if you can talk to me at Swearingen. But career fair, it'll be the same. I'll have the 2026 ELTP QR code, but this is for this summer's internship. So again, take that, fill out the form, you know, by this Friday if you're interested, and then I'll email you the link to apply, or you can go to our careers page and apply. It should be posted today or tomorrow.
Well, thank you, Angie.